This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition. Well, it is Saturday, June 29th. It's about 4 p.m. and we have a service call on a walk-in freezer not working. Now, customer says that 2 of the fans are not working and 1 of them is. I don't know which ones. I just got here and it's in defrost. So we're going to utilize this moment since it's in defrost. We're going to jump up here and amp out the defrost heaters to see if they're all working. It's not very iced up. There is a little bit of frost buildup, but not horrible. So let's have a look at these heaters real quick. So I'll pop this off over here. I got up in this electrical panel right here, and we can see this top heater is running at 4 amps. I'll just hit them all because I don't know which ones are going where. So that one's 4 amps. Could be the same heater. Down here, that's not right. 16 amps? What the heck? Why is that running 16 amps? It's insane if it's true. No, that's not right. 8 amps. I think I might have, I clamped around 2 things, I think. Yeah, there you go. Like, what the heck? 4 amps, so that one's working. And last but not least, let's get on this one. So all the heaters are working. So I'm gonna let this keep defrosting. So that way, hopefully it melts all the ice. And once it turns on, we can test to see what fan motors are not working. So you can see that the 2-speed relays, if you look right here, 2-speed relays have already been disconnected, which is a very common failure on these guys. The 2-speed fan, it messes up. So it's been disconnected. So these should be running in full speed all the time. So it's just a matter of waiting. I'm gonna wait for it to just terminate out. Well, that certainly is a problem. All right, well, let me get in here and start checking voltage on these motors. This right here, this side has too much ice. The defrost isn't taking care of it, so I am gonna have to defrost these thoroughly too. All right, so this motor right here had 208 volts. Both of them were hooked up. I think we're just gonna have 2 bad motors, which is gonna suck. Yep. Because it's a Saturday and I'm gonna have to open a supply house, so let me make some phone calls. Because it's a Saturday, the supply house's normal business hours, they're not open, right? But they'll open on emergency services. I deal with refrigeration supply houses, so they have on-call numbers. I called the on-call number. Lady answered right away. The supply house that I'm at is called Allied Refrigeration in Tustin, California. And I got a call back from the on-call gentleman, called me right back. I told him what I needed. I need minimum 2 Russell evaporator fan motors, part numbers. I already looked them up and I confirmed that their system says they have 3 in stock at this particular location. So I have a few minutes here. I'm just waiting for the gentleman to get here. You know, he was really cool, called me back right away, said, hey, you know, I'm probably gonna be about 30-40 minutes out. I said, it's all good. You know, I was myself about 25 minutes out, so I said, no biggie, I'll wait. So I'm just sitting in the parking lot at Allied Refrigeration, just waiting for the gentleman to get here. I'll probably pick up all 3, just because I'd hate to get over there and find that other motor is a problem too or something. You know, with the amount of ice behind that motor, it was kind of weird. So, but these aren't a motor that I normally stock in my truck. They're rather expensive. Russell put a lot of ingenuity into making these things OEM specific, and you know, I get it. All manufacturers do that. So I tend to go back with the Russell motors just because they fit in there. You don't got to do any funky stuff. They've also modified their coil, making it a little bit more difficult to put the old AA style coil motor brackets, because that's what we used to do. Is we used to just convert the Russells to the old school PSC motors by using their old brackets, which we do stock at our shop. And in fact, I brought some with me today thinking that maybe I could do that if I had to and convert them to PSC, but it's going to be a little more work than I really want to get involved in. So unfortunately, I had to make the service call, the after hours emergency number, and open up the supply house. And you know, here I am just waiting for them to get here. So all right, I got the motors already set up right there, new ones. I'm just defrosting the coil. This side has a bunch of ice we got to get off, so we're gonna get onto that here in just a minute. I opened up the expansion valve section. There's no ice in there, so there's no worries about that. Always make sure you're looking though. But yeah, this is just gonna be a little bit of ice here real quick. We're just using hot water. All right, we are back up and running, moving some air, coming down in temp. We're gonna hop up on the roof and have a look at the equipment up there now. Make sure everything's good to go. All right, this guy's running. It's already come down significantly in temperature. When I started it up, it was at 30. When I left it to come onto the roof, it was at 18 degrees. The sight glass is clear. You can see we have a big Sporlan C all sight glass there, but if we look through here, I don't know if you guys can see it, I can see daylight, just barely, right? But over here, I can't. So, we're gonna clean this condenser. This customer doesn't do routine maintenance with me, so we're gonna go ahead and clean it up real quick. I brought some coil cleaner. That's the Refrigeration Technologies blue Venom pack. And then I brought water hose up here, so we're gonna get this guy rinsed out real quick. When I don't need the whole coil gun, this thing right here works perfect. Just spray it on there with some of the cleaner mixed with water and let it sit. And then we'll rinse it once we get it all, you know, coated on there. Now this is the blue Venom pack. You cannot put this on a micro channel. You can only use this on tube and fin. See, it's kind of dripping off. Let's get in here, rinse from the inside out as much as possible. Oh yeah, look at that. It's coming through like chocolate milk. Nice and dirty. Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm gonna get 2 hands in here, get this nice and thorough. All right, got it all cleaned up. And just for, I mean, now you can literally see daylight just from here. Like no problem. So yeah, this thing was caked with dirt. So turn it on. That one's a fan cycle switch, so we'll give it a few minutes. It makes sense too, because this one was dirtier than this one, so that's why this one runs 24/7. That one's the fan cycle switch. So now we gotta wait for the thermostat to turn on, because it's a digital stat, and then we'll watch the box come down to temp. I'm gonna start cleaning up my messes, and I gotta get my hose all cleaned up because it's sitting in the coil cleaner all right there. So that's gonna be fun. Also, the grease cleaner guys, all those grease diapers and stuff were on top of this. Like they just leave them everywhere, and they were dripping grease all over my lid. So I acetized that too and got the grease off, and they're dry now, but they were dripping grease at one point. So I'll take them to the edge of the roof for them. I don't know what they need to do with those. These guys leave these things everywhere they go. So even though it's June, we're having these weird cool nights. So it's probably about 76 degrees outside right now. So with the wet condenser, we actually haven't satisfied for that fan cycle switch. So we're just running on one fan. We got a clear sight glass. Let's go downstairs. I don't see a need to put gauges on this unless we're not dropping in temperature, but I think we're gonna be just fine. So let's head downstairs and have a look at the evaporator, see what the temp is inside the box. This guy's at about 9 degrees. At this point, they've hit the product temperature. So now they've got to bring the product temperature down and not just the box temperature anymore. So it'll be down to temp in a couple hours. I'm gonna get out of here. I came back today to follow up. It's -4 right now. Customer's been happy, but I'm actually gonna look at the contactor on the roof because it was looking a little funky the other day. So we're gonna hop up there and have a look. Turned it off at the disconnect switch, and I saw this when I was here the other day, and I could see that white powder stuff right there. So I have a feeling when we pull this off, it's gonna be worn out inside. So let's have a look. We come into here, and yeah, it's the points. I don't know if the camera's gonna show it, but the points are not looking good. They're really burnt. So we're gonna go ahead and change those. Now, you know, my aggressiveness on contactors will change from customer to customer. This customer doesn't do any routine maintenance. So yeah, this one could give us another month, maybe 2, maybe 3, I don't know. But a bad contactor can cause a failed compressor, especially on a 3-phase compressor. You lose a set of contacts on there, you single phase the compressor, you create a problem. So for customers that don't do routine maintenance, I tend to be a little more aggressive and bring to their attention when contactors are starting to wear out, so that way we can nip it in the butt before it becomes a dire emergency, or before it becomes ridiculously expensive compressor replacement. If we can preventatively replace this now and potentially give them some more life to this compressor, that's the goal. But again, we put it all in the customer's hands. We ask them what they want to do, and then they make those decisions. All right, and if I did everything right, it's a 240 volt coil. It's all set up. This thing shouldn't blow up. Looking good. Now it's gonna pump down because it has a digital control, and then now it has a time delay that's not gonna allow it to come on for 3 minutes, I think, or 180 seconds, but that's fine. So I'll make sure I clean up my messes and wait for it to turn back on and start running full blast, and then we'll be done with this guy. Well, that was a roller coaster. I really don't like opening supply houses. I really try not to, but it happens from now and again, basically. I try to keep a good amount of truck stock on my vehicles, usually try to get people through the weekend, but in this case we had 2 OEM specific evaporator fan motors, and I have not found a suitable aftermarket replacement for the Russell motors. The problem is the 2-speed function, which half the time I don't even care about the 2-speed function. If I could find a single speed that would fit in there, that would have the blade offset on the end of it, because it has that plastic cone that pushes the blade out. And that's the big thing. But it's a 35 watt motor too. So you'd need a 35 watt ECM motor. And I just haven't found one that'll fit in there. So I'm curious if you guys have, let me know. But I mean, I'm not looking to do any shady stuff. I don't want to have to put 15 washers behind it to shim it out or anything like that. I'm just looking for an aftermarket replacement. I think one of the biggest issues is that motor, the OEM motor, is a US Motors, right? And the US Motors manufacturer makes a lot of the aftermarket motors too. So why would they make an aftermarket when they could sell this one? And they probably have, an agreement with the manufacturer or something. Who knows? Regardless, when I go out on these calls, I try my best, right? I try to look at everything, do the best to get it going. I prefer not to open supply houses in an emergency situation unless I absolutely have to. I kind of feel silly going to a supply house to pick up walk-in freezer evaporator motors, but that's life. We need to get the equipment up and running. And then, I'm always, and I kind of talked about it in the video too, I'm always looking out in changing things per customer, right? And since this customer doesn't do normal routine maintenance, I'm a little bit more aggressive on the contactors, because I'm not going to be there to catch it before it fails potentially, right, and causes a compressor failure. So that's why I bring it to their attention. Hey, this contactor is really on its way out. Still has some life in it, but I highly suggest we replace it before it goes bad, because it can cause compressor damage and things like that. And that's the way I brought it up to them, and they were like, yeah, let's just get it done. So that's what we did. We got the contactor replaced. We cleaned up the equipment. We don't just ignore it. I went there, changed the evap motors, and then said, hey, you know what? Better jump onto the roof, have a look at the equipment. Boom. Condenser was dirty, right? Can't just stop there. Got to drag the hoses up, clean the condenser. I cleaned the ones next to it too. It's all about the big picture stuff here, because the big picture, in my opinion, and who knows, maybe I'm wrong, but in my opinion, it gives the customer more value. I'm more thorough, right? Even if I have to come back, that's fine. I always do follow-ups. The contactor was a follow-up visit. I was, going back out there just to follow up on it. And I happen to be somewhat in the area anyways, but still, it was a follow-up visit. And I do that regularly, especially when I'm a little bit cautious about something. And I was a little bit, skeptical about that contactor. So we came back out, we replaced it. Everything else checked out okay at this time. So thank you so very much for making it to the end. If you haven't already, please consider checking out my website, hvacrvideos.com. We have merchandise available on there. It's a great way to help support the channel. Hats, t-shirts, stickers, all that good stuff. We also have a couple other ways that you can help support the channel if you are interested in doing so, but really the easiest way to support this channel takes a little bit of your time, and it's literally just watch the videos from beginning to end. That is the easiest way to support the channel. Okay, I realize your time is valuable, but if you could just watch the video from beginning to end, it just helps everything, right? Also you can go support the channel via PayPal, Patreon, or YouTube channel memberships. Those are all monthly commitments that you can choose to make. It charges your credit card the amount that you choose, and it just happens on a reoccurring basis. Last but not least, if you go to TrueTechTools.com, I have an affiliate program set up with them. If you use my offer code BIGPICTURE, one word, on majority of the items on their website, you'll get an 8% discount, and then I get a small commission from that. It's just a great way to help support the channel. So thank you so very much again, and we will catch you on the next one.